India has traditionally relied on Russian technology for its nuclear fleet, but it is now transitioning to a new series of nuclear submarines that will be designed entirely from scratch. Access to cutting-edge technology would be critical to making these submarines as silent as possible during missions. In recent years, Indian naval leaders have examined many possibilities, including the French offer for Barracuda-class technology. France has been a close partner when it comes to submarine technology. It is already assisting India in the production of conventional submarines of the Kalvari class. Ashley Tellis, a senior scholar at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, cited a recent study to suggest an intriguing security arrangement in the Indian Ocean involving India, France, and the United States. He called this new organization Infrus, after the AUKUS grouping of Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, which was formed last year to equip Australia with at least 8 nuclear-powered submarines by 2040. And Pakistani analysts grew to believe that the creation of this new organization, Infrus, as well as the acquisition of this cutting-edge submarine technology by India, may start an arms race. According to the report, Infrus will help India build its sea-based deterrent. And a strategic alliance like this could have effects on the region's strategic, economic, political, and security calculations in the middle and long term. In the same way, it will make it easier for India to get the tools it needs to fight China. Similarly, any nuclear submarines included in the new organization would include not just China, but also Pakistan. India, with Russian-leased submarines and technical support, is already well ahead in developing a guaranteed second strike capability. But the premise behind Infrus is that, in order to deter a growing China, India needs to create more effective sea-based deterrent. It would only be achievable if India could combine stealth and mobility by developing an efficient nuclear ballistic missile submarine force. With a coastline of more than 7,800 kilometers, the Indian Navy has the task of preserving the country's marine interests at all times. The Navy continues to add key assets to its fleet, based on its strategic requirements, and to maintain its dominant position as one of the major naval forces in the world. At the time, India's registered naval assets number about 150. India already possesses 2 operational aircraft carriers, a nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine, 14 diesel-electric attack submarines, and a range of destroyers, corvettes, and frigates. It is one of the few nations that has a nuclear submarine. India's naval modernization is already putting Pakistan under pressure. And if India is successful in securing French technology for naval nuclear reactors for its submarines, the balance of power would be tipped even more in its favor. According to Pakistani analysts, India's move might spark a nuclear arms race in South Asia. Retired Lieutenant General Talat Masood, a security expert in Islamabad, told Anadolu agency that India's latest move could lead to an increase in nuclear weapons in South Asia, which would not be good for the whole world. Masood, who served in the Pakistan Army from 1951 to 1988, said that involvement of 3 nuclear powers in the region, China, India, and Pakistan, had already mounted a nuclear arms race. He said that India, on the one hand, trying to match Beijing's nuclear and missile capability, while on the other, it wants to prove to the world that it is a robust nuclear power in the region. He also said that the latest rise in the nuclear arms race in the region is due to a number of economic and political goals of the big powers. And the US is helping India get nuclear power to compete with China, which poses political and economic problems for Washington. Another security expert, Nazir, has a similar point of view. He said that China would not let India rule in the Indian Ocean. China knows that the US is trying to get India to work against it in the area. So if something bad happened to Pakistan, Beijing would stand with Islamabad, he said. Pointing out that in the last few years, China has used its veto to stop a number of Indian moves in the UN Security Council. What scares Pakistan? Pakistan is concerned that a potential security alliance between India, France, and the United States may assist India with technological advances, putting Pakistan in a trap. Pakistani analyst says, the Indian Ocean is home to vital trade hubs, and key choke points such as the Strait of Malacca and the Strait of Hormuz. And Indian hegemony in the region could disrupt these valuable maritime channels. They believe that a weapons competition in the Indian Ocean might disrupt critical commerce routes for neighboring governments. And building India as a regional net security provider is a formula for instability, and will turn the region towards the brink of a larger conflict. But the fact is that it will be triggered whatsoever, since China is quickly modernizing the Pakistani Navy, in order to increase power in the Indian Ocean region. China, whose revisionist and revanchist intentions are global, is now eyeing the IOR, including the East African coast. As a result, the Pakistan Navy's future role is predicated on attaining equalization of Sino-Indian confrontation in the IOR. However, India's vision for the IOR, on the other hand, is inclusive, as shown by its SAGAR, security and growth for all states in the region, policy. Nonetheless, Pakistan persists on establishing China in the IOR, rather than understanding that its own interests lay in creating a fair, conflict-free way of life in the area. However, it seems to have decided to be exploited, and serve as Beijing's strategic appendage. So, regardless of their perspectives, on the contrary, gaining this cutting-edge submarine technology would provide India with one of the world's most formidable navies, and with Australia obtaining 8 nuclear-powered submarines, it will help to discourage China in the region.